Here we have an EOC question that says, if x does not equal 3, which of the following shows the expression below in the simplest form? I just want to make it clear up front that the only purpose of this x not equaling 3 is because if we plugged x equals 3 into the denominator, 3 minus 3 is 0. So the problem wants to make it very clear that you cannot divide by 0, and that's not a possibility. So all it is setting it up so it can work for you. So in order to simplify something like this, what we have to do first before anything else is factor the top and the bottom. So let's go ahead and look at the top. Whenever we factor, we look and see, oh, well, first we have a GCF. We do have a GCF. The GCF is 3. So if I factor out of 3, I have to divide each of the terms by 3. But don't forget, you still have to have a 3 on the outside. If I look at my denominator, x minus 3, there is no GCF. Can't use the x factor. There's no grouping. So the good news is there is no way to factor that. But there is bad news. We're not technically done yet, because looking at this right here, this can be factored more. This is a difference of squares problem. So remember the difference of squares problem. If I go ahead and get it started, we're going to end up with 2 sets of parentheses. Inside one there's a plus, inside one there's a minus. So what we do is we take the square root of x squared, which is x, and then we take the square root of 9, which is 3. This is a formula called the difference of squares. All you do is plug it in, but if you go back and you multiply these two, you FOIL them. The x times negative 3 gets me negative 3x. This gets me 3x. And when you add those up, it cancels out. So the only thing you get left over is the first and last terms. X times x is x squared. 3 times negative 3 is negative 9, and that's how we get that up here. Then I'm going to go ahead and put my denominator in, x minus 3. And looking at this, the idea is to go ahead and simplify. When we simplify, if we see something on the top and we see the same thing on the bottom, we can cancel it out. That's the same thing as taking 4 divided by 4. They cancel out, it becomes 1. So here I have an x minus 3, x minus 3. I can go ahead and cancel those out. Now, that doesn't mean that there's nothing left over in my denominator. This denominator now technically equals 1. When you cancel something out and you're dividing, it's always going to end up being 1. So that means once we cancel that out, our final answer is going to be 3x plus 3 over 1. But since it's just over 1, you don't technically have to write that. So we end up with 3 times x plus 3. And that actually ends up being our final answer. So our answer in our problem is going to be A. I'm going to see if I can draw that a little bit brighter so that you can see that. There we go. So our final answer is A because that's what's left over here.